Hello everyone, I'm EdwardStarcraft and I'm here with a video tutorial for YouTube, and here we go. We're on the map Zelnaga Caverns and I'm teaching you how to forgate as Protoss. Now I actually don't forgate too much in most of my games, but forgating is a very basic strategy, very powerful strategy for Protoss players even after the Warp Gate nerf, and it just really lets you get a lot of units out really quickly against any sort of opponent. So let's try out this build. Please excuse me if I do have a few errors in the build. I might because of the timing change, but otherwise should be mostly good. So here we go. I've put ourselves up against a Protoss computer. Forgating is slightly different if you're going against Protoss or Terran or Zerg. But here, we're going to use our first Chrono Boost on building more probes, and on 13 supply, we're going to get our first gateway. So, let's wait until that happens. Okay, so here we go. 13 supply, build our first gateway, and there we go. So after the Warp Gate timing change, you're only going to be using one Chrono Boost on your workers. The rest of the Chrono Boost you're going to actually use on your Warp Gate research to get that out as quickly as possible. So 14, now we're going to get a simulator, and I was slightly distracted over there talking. So I got my simulator slightly late, but you want to get it at 14 supply with 75 minerals. As soon as you build up 100 minerals, again, continuously building workers, build another pylon that's usually 15 or 16 supply, should be 15 if you're macroing correctly, and only used one Chrono Boost. And then as soon as your gateway finishes, build a cybernetics core. So here we go, gateway is going to finish, and cybernetics core. Now, once you build up enough minerals, build your first zealot out of your gateway. You do not want to die to early pressure from a Terran player. And now you can see that my Chrono Boost bar is developing near full, and I nearly have my cybernetics core up. So we're going to wait a little bit. We're continuing to get some gas, and we're actually going to cut harvester production really soon. So after your cybernetics core finishes and your gateway finishes producing your first zealot, first get your warp gate research, start chrono boosting that out, and build a stalker. And you're actually going to build only 2 more probes over here. You're actually going to watch your supply count, and it's going to go only up to 26. Continue to chrono boost out your cybernetics core. Try not to miss a chrono boost because that's not good. And now, once you start building up more minerals, then start placing more gateways. Now, against a Zerg player, you usually want to be a little more sneaky about forgating. But against a Terran player, against a Protoss player, you want to be very crisp with your timing. So, since I am against a Protoss opponent, now that I have all of these gateways coming up, I'm chrono boosting this out. I'm going to bring my Zealot Stalker and keep on chrono boosting this out. I'm actually bringing out my units slightly late, so I'm going to establish a proxy pylon. So against Protoss, you want to move out with your first few units to forgate. Against Terran and Zerg, you can actually wait for one warp-in cycle. But here we're going to establish a proxy pylon, and this proxy pylon, it is a bit late. But if you're doing it perfectly, you're going to have this proxy pylon on time, and it's actually going to finish at about the same time that your warp gate technology is finished. So now my warp gate technology has finished. I'm going to convert all of my gateways into warp gates, and oh, actually I did finish this on time. So now we're going to warp in 4 stalkers and build an additional pylon, because every single pylon you can warp in 4 units. I could have built a proxy pylon that's a bit closer, which is what you actually want to do against a good Protoss player. And now you can see that you gotta want it micro well. And now more warp-ins are coming out, and this guy's forced to retreat. While you're forgating, you can actually add on a second gas geyser. It's kind of depending on your preference, if you like more stalkers, and if you want to tech up afterwards, which I usually do, so you can get more stalkers this way. And now you can see that I'm pushing into this guy's base, you want to make sure you're continuing to build pylons. These pylons are good. And now I'm in his base with a lot of units and nothing he can do about it. This is GG. Make sure that you keep on warping units when you see select all warp gates over here. I am supply blocked, so make sure to build a pylon after every single warping cycle without delay. If you can't warp in 4 more units, it's not worth saving your 4 units earlier on in the game. So now you can see that the computer does want to surrender, and I've won with this warp gate. Hopefully that was informative, and yes, this is a computer player, so his execution not as good, but I just wanted to play a game here to make sure that you guys know how to execute this build, and then you can do it better against regular players. But the 4-gate, it's a very, very powerful build. Works in Masters League, works in the GSL. You can see the top Korean players play. And so a few differences for every single matchup though. Versus Protoss, you want to move out as early as possible. Versus Terran and versus Zerg, however, you can move out slightly later. And versus Terran, I might even suggest adding in a second gas geyser so you can get a sentry or 2. So if they have bunkers, you can force field around the back of their bunkers so that their SCVs cannot repair. Against Zerg, it's kind of about tricking the Zerg into thinking. In the lower levels, it doesn't really matter, but in the higher levels, sometimes Protoss players will try to trick Zerg players into thinking that they're not 4-gating when they actually are, and then be able to catch the Zerg player off guard. So anyways, hopefully that was informative, and thank you for watching.